CEO Ronald created there's what's going on. Wanted to talk to you for a quick minute about USBC Nationals. Had a chance to go out to Vegas for 5 days, spend some time out there, watch the team, watch singles and doubles, and I just want to give you a little bit of information about kind of what I saw when I was out there. The first thing I would tell you is the pattern definitely hooks more than it did in 2019, which is the last time any of us actually were able to bowl on it. I would also tell you that obviously, as always in nationals, it's tough. You need to be able to have the ability to repeat shots. I saw a lot of bowlers struggling just because they weren't able to repeat shots. So if you haven't practiced, you definitely need to get out there and get some practice. You need to be able to repeat shots to be able to bowl good in that environment. I think, obviously, we don't know exactly what the pattern is. It's not published anywhere, but I think we've got a pretty good idea just watching enough people bowl, kind of what's out there. I think the pattern is fairly flat in the middle. I think some strategies that seem to work well for people that were bowling well were, you got to pretend like eight board's the gutter. If your ball goes right at eight board, if you're a right-handed player, you're not going to get a strike. You're probably going to get six. So that happened a lot. If you keep the ball in play between around 8 and 10 at the break point, you got a pretty good chance of hitting the pocket, assuming that you have the right ball in your hand and you have the right ball speed. But I think the lanes are playable from anywhere. I saw people playing straight right around that 10, 10 to 8 board. I saw people hooking it a lot from, 25 to 10 to 8 board, and they were able to be able to get to the pocket. And I think that's a key, being able to find out which kind of bowling ball will allow you to play maybe your favorite part of the lane and get your bowling ball to have that break point right around that 10 to 8 board area. I also think that, spares are crucial and spares are interesting out there because it is flat in the middle. So if you're used to hooking it at spares, don't do it out there. I saw some people chop spares, just blatantly miss spares, just simply because they're used to hooking it at it. A lot of the things that you do on a house pattern don't tend to work so well on these type of patterns that they use at these events. You want to do more adjusting with ball speed, hand position, less with just lateral moves like we typically would do. You say, we'll just make a 3 and 2 move. That doesn't tend to work so well in that environment because it's still fairly flat. And what that ends up doing is if you make a move in, it ends up causing you to get a little over push when you miss to the right and a little overhook when you get a little too straight, and that ends up being bad. So I would say, definitely make sure your arsenal is set up so that you've got different grits of surface on your bowling balls so that you can kind of stay in the same part of the lane and maybe just kind of ball up or ball down as needed. I would also say that, in terms of like bowling balls that work, I think most continuous bowling balls are really, really good. Maybe one traction ball and then a couple angular balls, believe it or not. I saw people, once the lanes kind of started to begin to break down, you could have a little bit of room for error, and or if the lanes begin to hook, you need a bowling ball that would kind of push through that. So definitely some of the higher grits, or 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, even P5000D. If you start off with a very aggressive ball, like a 500 grit or a 1,000 grit, just be prepared to kind of figure out how you're going to get out of that ball, like how you're going to be able to ball down. Because like I said, typically those moves lateral don't work so well on the lane there. You need to be able to play the lanes what we call front to back. And that really requires you to have some adjustments with either ball speed and or hand position to be able to keep the ball in play. But that's kind of a little bit of what I saw. The singles and doubles hooks about 3 to 4 boards more than the team house. They're in two completely different buildings, so expect that. And then, just make sure you check your footing too, because sometimes the footing can be a little bit tricky in one building versus another building because they are not the same. There's a whole lot more bowling that happens in the singles and doubles house in general than in the plaza, which is where the team house is. So be prepared to make sure you check your footing. Also, last but not least, I think all ball companies will have bowling balls that are going to work well there. I think just finding bowling balls that are continuous, maybe one traction ball, and then a couple angular pieces would be what I'd recommend you take out there with you. If you don't know what any of that means, make sure you go to bowlingforless.com and learn a little bit about the 4 types of ball motion. And then last but not least, remember, man, you're supposed to have some fun. It is tricky. It is hard. But we weren't able to bowl last year. So it's a blessing to be able to bowl this year. So just kind of remember that when you're out there and have a little bit of fun while you're there. Remember, we have CTD actually has a booth in the singles and doubles house. In the pro shop, we've got a booth. So if you need some products or need some supplies like that, come on by and say hi to us, say hi to us and see us, and maybe we'll get you guys some additional information out there too. Anyway, so now you have a little bit more information about what's going on at the Open Championships, and I hope to see you guys there. With that being said, I'm out of here. CEO Ron Hill from Creative Endeavors. Talk to you soon.